الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. الحمد لله غافر الذنب وقابل التوب شديد العقاب ذي الطول لا إله إلا هو إليه المصير. اللهم لك الحمد يا من لم تتخذ ولدا ولم يكن لك شريك في الملك ولم يكن لك ولي من الذل والله أكبر كبيرا. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله الأحد الفرد الصمد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد، مالك الملك يؤتي الملك من يشاء وينزع الملك ممن يشاء، يعز من يشاء ويذل من يشاء، بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. سبح له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. له ملك السماوات والأرض يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير. هو الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن وهو بكل شيء عليم. وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين. تركنا على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك. شرح الله له صدره ووضع عنه وزره وأعلمه أن مع العسر يسرا وأمره أن إذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. عباد الله، أوصيكم ونفسي المقصرة بتقوى الله، وأحذركم ونفسي من عصيانه ومخالفة أمره لزوما لقوله الحق تبارك وتعالى في كتابه الكريم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. وكذلك في قول الحق تبارك وتعالى: يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. My dear brothers and sisters, my dearest children, يقول حق تبارك وتعالى في كتابه الكريم: ومن أظلم ممن منع مساجد الله أن يذكر فيها اسمه وسعى في خرابها أولئك ما كان لهم أن يدخلوها إلا خائفين لهم في الدنيا خزي ولهم في الآخرة عذاب عظيم. Indeed, as we are on the 76th day of this brutal, this savage, this ugly, this inhumane war against the civilians of Gaza, with the silence of and the collaborations of the international community leaderships, along with, unfortunately, the leadership of our own Muslim countries, as the total number of those who have risen to the mighty Allah Azza wa Jal as shuhada have exceeded 20,000, as the livelihood of the civilians in Gaza is becoming unbearable, as we hear calls from people with some conscience in their mind saying that Gaza is at the verge of a catastrophe for the lack of food, for the lack of water, for the lack of medications, for the lack of the hygienic facilities, for the lack of medical supplies, for the lack of the infrastructure that can make the livelihood of people decent. And what is even more sad is for the outstaggering number of the dead bodies scattered on the streets that are decomposing. Forgive me. This is the sad reality we're living in. This is the ugly reality we're living in the 21st century. This is what we're seeing in the 21st century as the international community, or the leaderships of the international community, is bragging about civilization. This is not civilization. This is far away from civilization. This is evil. This is demonization. This is nothing but ugly words that one cannot find to describe what is happening in front of the whole world. As we're speaking today, Yawm al-Jumu'ah, those who were intending to make their way to Salat al-Jumu'ah in al-Masjid al-Aqsa were prevented. وَمَنْ أَظْلَمْ مِمَّنْ مَنَعَ مَسَاجِدَ اللَّهِ يُذْكَرَ فِيهَا اسْمُهُ وَسَعَى فِي خَرَابِهَا. Not only they have destroyed the masajid in Gaza, and they continue to humiliate the masajid in Palestine by provoking the emotions of the Muslim community across the globe, as the Israeli soldiers were saying their own salawat inside the masjid using the loudspeaker of the masjid. Where is the human rights and the freedom of religion? Where are the codes that the international community are bragging about? This year, in the most beautiful time to our brothers and sisters of the Christian community, the churches in Beit Lahem, the place of birth for Isa alayhi salam, are not going to do any signs of celebrations, mourning with the people of Gaza and showing their anger to the destructions of the churches in Palestine and to the killing of both Christians and Muslims in this savage, unjustifiable war. All that is happening with the full support of the G7 countries, or a majority of them. Why would the government of the United States be fully supporting this aggression against the civilians of Gaza? No justification. Why would the billions of dollars be poured into the war machine of the Israeli apartheid regime to kill more civilians when the people of the US are struggling to meet the end needs for their own family members? No answer for this. No justification. It's only the selfishness of the officials who are concerned only about their own political careers. That's what it is. That's how ugly the reality is. And unless the international community wake up and stand up and raise our voices and say enough is enough, this corrupt political system needs to change. These corrupt leaderships need to stop causing more damage to the planet we're living in that is called the earth. After all, we all come from two pair, from Adam and Eve, because we're our brothers in humanity. One of the things that struck me, as has it struck so many of us, is when we listen through the social media to the reaction of the people of Gaza on the ground. We hear resilience that is coming from their heart in a massive energy, a massive power, positive power to strike our dead hearts. Our hearts have become numb as a result of continuous exposure to the scenes of atrocity and the killing and the destruction over the past 76 days to the point that we either avoid looking at social media anymore, or we become so numb that it is no longer affecting us, or we try to avoid it because we got tired, we got exhausted, we become so depressed with it. But not the people of Gaza. Not those people who are living the real atrocity. Not those who are under the falling of bombs that is supposed to be so most sophisticated bombs built in the most sophisticated factories of the US with the taxpayers' money in the cost of millions of dollars. Not even as the mothers will be digging with her hands to take out her dead son or daughter and wrap it for dignity in a white wrap to provide a dignifiable burial for him or her, if it is possible, because under the bombing it is not possible most of the time. I can't find an answer to the resilience of the child, a boy or a girl, speaking to social media and saying, regardless of what they have done to me, they killed my father, they killed my mother, they killed most of my family members. I could be the only person living out of a huge family of 60 or 100. They will never be able to defeat my spirit. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar to the iman of those giants. That's what resilience is all about. And that's what we need to learn. We need to learn from their resilience. And their resilience is coming from nowhere except from the Quran, the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. As they hear Allah saying to us, وَلَوْلَا دَفْعُ اللَّهِ النَّاسَ بَعْضَهُمْ بِبَعْضٍ لَفَسَدَتِ الْأَرْضِ. If it is not to Allah Azza wa Jal's will to cause the interaction between the falsehood and the truthhood, then the earth will be spoiled. Now as a result of what is happening, the conscience of the international community is awaking. Yes, indeed. That is something we're seeing nowadays. The international community conscience is awakened. They are questioning the corrupt leaderships of their own governments. They're wanting answers from their own leaderships and say, give me an answer. I need to understand why you're always vetoing any resolution to the United Nations to stop the war, including our own government, our own officials who can brag about their human principles and values when they come soliciting for our votes during the election times. Where's your conscience? When you're continuously supporting the apartheid regime against the killing of civilians, where's your conscience? We need to always ask that question to these officials. So hopefully one day they will wake up. Hopefully one day they will go back to their own conscience. If not, let them step aside, let someone else come to take the leadership. وَلَوْلَا دَفْعُ اللَّهِ النَّاسَ بَعْضَهُمْ بِبَعْضٍ لَفَسَدَتِ الْأَرْضِ. And in Surah Al-Hajj, لَهُدِّمَتْ صَوَامِعٌ وَبِيَعٌ وَصَلَوَاتٌ وَمَسَاجِدُ يُذْكَرُ فِيهَا اسْمُ اللَّهِ كَثِيرًا وَلَيَنْصُرَنَّ اللَّهُ مَن يَنْصُرَهُ. If it's not to the sunnah of Allah Azza wa Jal, to the sunnah of Allah Azza wa Jal, of the struggle between the falsehood and the truthhood, then otherwise the sawami', the places of worship, and for monks, the priests who have devoted their life to worship the mighty Allah Azza wa Jal, those who have isolated themselves from the attractions of the dunya, would not be able to do that. Wabiya', there will be no churches to establish the prayers for the followers. and salawat, the worshipings of the Jewish. And again, when we talk about Judaism and Jewish and Bani Israel, we're talking about the true believers, not those Zionists who are abusing the name of their religion to cause killing and death for civilians. وَمَسَاجِد, and the mosques, as we're seeing right now, that is happening in the land of Palestine. As they prevented Musallis from reaching Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, as they're preventing the worshippers of Christians in the Beit Lahm to be able to establish their rituals. وَلَيَنْصُرَنَّ اللَّهُ مَنْ يَنْصُرَهُ. Allah Azza wa Jal will be providing victory to those who deserve it. And we are seeing right now, we're seeing right now the victory to the truth. Regardless of how much the voice of the haqq is being silenced. Now, many of us are living the fear. If I spoke the truth, I'll be misquoted, misinterpreted, and I'll be on the hot spot, and most likely I'll be losing a lot. Well, let it be. No more fear. No more fear, no more intimidation. This is happening in the workplaces of many of the professionals who are working in different capacities. And the message everybody is sending out, this is it. It's over. Game is over. No more intimidation. You're able to silence one voice, 10 voices, but you'll never be able to silence the thousands of voices who are standing for haqq. You'll never be able to do it because we believe in the haqq. And we say to the people of Gaza, to the people of Al-Daffa, to the people of Jenin, to the different camps in Al-Daffa Al-Gharbiyya, the West Bank, we say to them, Jazakumullahu khayran an ummat al-Islam. Because you are doing what the Muslim Ummah should be doing to defend the integrity of Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. Regardless of the failure of our own leadership from doing something to you, our hearts are with you. And Allah Azza wa Jal knows how we are living our life thinking about you. Allah the Mighty only knows what goes in our heart and minds, and how much are we crying between the hands of Allah Azza wa Jal for you, so that the Mighty Allah Azza wa Jal will protect you, will give you the prosperity, and will guide you in this very difficult time that you are going for on behalf of the Muslim Ummah. We say to them, the Mighty Allah Azza wa Jal said, لَوْلَا دَفْعُ اللَّهِ النَّاسَ بَعْضَهُمْ بِبَعْضٍ, come in the context of Surah Al-Baqarah. أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَى الْأُلُوفِ مِنْ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ أَلَمْ تَرَ الَّذِينَ خَرَجُوا مِنْ دِيُورِهِمْ وَهُمْ أُلُوفٌ حَذَرَ الْمَوْتِ. Did you not see those who have left their own towns in thousands, running away from death, and Allah Azza wa Jal let them die? To tell them, stand up for the truth. That's exactly what we're hearing right now from the people of Gaza. Whether it is the women or the elders, or whether it is the children who are saying, we're rooted in our land. We will never leave it. We will never allow the evil agenda to be implemented. We've lived the Nakba, and we will not live it another time. Speaking about the Nakba, it's always Hamilton Central that always taking the lead for haqq. Our brother Matthew have sent a message last week calling for the recognition of An-Nakba as a day of peace and prosperity. We need to tell him, brother, we're proud of you. We're proud of your courage, your strength, and your ability to stand and speak for the truth, and we're standing behind you. This Central Zone area of Hamilton have introduced Sarah Jama, our sister who have faced so many consequences as a result of speaking the truth. It is also the riding who have introduced and produced our mayor. And we need to work together as a society to stand for haqq and justice. Because this is a human principle. We as Muslims believe in justice, and we call for it, and we struggle for it, and we need to partner with everyone around us to be able to apply it in people's life. And then after that, Allah Azza wa Jal, in the sequence of the ayat, ألم تر إلى الملأ من بني إسرائيل من بعد موسى إذ قالوا لنبي لهم ابعث لنا ملكا نقاتل في سبيل الله قال هل عسيتم إن كتب عليكم القتال ألا تقاتلوا قالوا ما لنا ألا نقاتل في سبيل الله وقد أخرجنا من ديارنا وأبنائنا. That speaks for the status of the Muslim Ummah right now, not the status of the people of Gaza and الضفة الغربية. Because they have read the Quran and absorbed it. They have understood it. And they have allowed the Quran to provide resilience that emits from their hearts, to spread it all over the Muslim Ummah, to bring alive to the dead hearts that have become dead as a result of the pathetic, weak, helpless, powerless conditions we have been living in. That's not going to continue. That's not going to keep going, because the mighty Allah Azza wa Jal principles and rules in the Quran are very clear. We are arising as ummah of haqq, and we need to be part of this uprising of haqq within the ummah. Because since the ummah have left behind the role of leadership of applying justice on earth, the whole earth have suffered. And regardless of what the mass media and the enemies of the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal will be portraying and would be promoting falsely about Islam and Muslims, we say to them, look to the history, and the history speaks the truth. Look to the times when Muslims were in the golden era, how much justice and peace have implemented on earth. And look on the opposite, what happened when someone else took the leadership. Young people, you have a role to play. You have a responsibility to take upon your shoulders. Every one of us should be doing something. We should not be staying passive. We need to do something, even if it is only standing between the hands of Allah and crying in dua. Even if it is supporting the advocacy work of the different organization that has been doing a huge work on the behalf of the Muslim community and the society in which we're living in. If you have not already signed up for the campaign that NCCM, the National Council of Canadian Muslims, have called for, the Heroes of Gaza, then I think you're way behind. Log online and be part of that campaign. It's allowable for everyone with $10 a month to be part of this campaign. We need not to be passive. We need to be inspired with the resilience of those people who have taught us what resilience is. And we need to empower our connection with the Quran, our iman in Allah Azza wa Jal. وأقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه فيفوز المستغفرين. استغفرك ربي. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور انفسنا وسيئات اعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا ان الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا ايها الذين امنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم وبارك اللهم على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على ابراهيم في العالمين انك حميد مجيد اللهم ان عبيدك ابناء عبيدك ابناء امائك نواصينا يا رب بيدك ماض يا رب فينا حكمك عدل فينا قضاؤك نسألك اللهم بكل اسم هو لك سميت به نفسك أنزلته في كتابك أو علمته علمته أحدا من خلقك أو استأثرت به في علم الغيب عندك بأن تجعل القرآن العظيم ربيع قلوبنا يا الله. اللهم اجعله جلاء لهمومنا وأحزاننا يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا نستغيث بك يا مغيث، اللهم إنا نستجير بك يا مجير، اللهم إنا ندعوك يا أحد يا فرد يا صمد يا من لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد، يا حي يا قيوم، يا من وسع كرسيك السماوات والأرض ولا يؤودك حفظهما وأنت العلي العظيم. ندعوك في هذا اليوم المبارك، ندعوك في هذه الساعة الفضيلة، ندعوك في بيت من بيوتك بأن تغث إخواننا في فلسطين. اللهم أغثهم يا مغيث، اللهم احفظهم من بين أيديهم ومن خلفهم وعن أيمانهم وعن شمائلهم ومن فوقهم، ونعوذ بجلالك أن يغتالوا من تحتهم. اللهم فرج مصابهم وكربهم وغمهم يا رب. اللهم داو جرحاهم ومرضاهم، اللهم ارحم ثكلاهم، ارحم أراملهم، ارحم أيتامهم، ارحمهم برحمتك فإنه لا حول لهم ولا قوة إلا بك. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. يا رب إنهم قد فقدوا كل الأمل من كل شيء إلا منك يا رب. اللهم فأغثهم، اللهم فأجرهم، اللهم فانصرهم. اللهم نسألك بجلالك أن توحد بين صفوفنا وأن تؤلف بين قلوبنا وأن تنزع الوهن من قلوبنا. اللهم استخدمنا ولا تستبدل بنا. اللهم أعنا على نصرة المستضعفين في الأرض يا جبار. اللهم نسألك بأنك أنت الله الذي لا إله غيرك بأن تنتقم من أعدائك أعداء الدين. اللهم عليك برأس الكفر وأذنابه من المنافقين والمطبعين والمخذلين يا جبار. اللهم إنهم لا يعجزونك. اللهم انصر من وقف لنصرة دينك يا جبار. اللهم أيدهم بجند من عندك يا جبار. اللهم أيدهم بملائكة من عندك يا جبار. اللهم ثبت أقدامهم واربط على قلوبهم. اللهم زلزل الأرض من تحت أقدام أعدائهم يا جبار. اللهم اجعل تدبيرهم في تدميرهم. اللهم رد كيدهم في نحورهم. اللهم اجعل ما ينفقون حسرة عليهم يا جبار. اللهم نسألك الصلاة في المسجد الأقصى آمنين مطمئنين يا رب العالمين. اللهم نسألك حسن الختام. اللهم اجعلها شهادة في سبيلك فإنك على كل شيء قدير. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وأقم الصلاة.